Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and hi if you're new here, I'm Jade, and welcome to my little reading nook. This is the first time I'm filming it in here. It's not the easiest to set up, to be honest, trying to like get the stands, and then the lighting's not great, so I do have like a sort of ring light, but I can't have it too bright or it just reflects in my glasses so much that it looks weird. So it's hard to balance over here. So I don't know how often I'll film over here, but it is a reading vlog and this makes me comfy. So here we are. So it is Valentine's week. We are a few days away from Valentine's, but I wanted to start, reading a romance or two this week to get me into the mood. And if you watched my last TBR jar video, you'll know that this book, Wild Love by Elsie Silver, is on the list to read. I've picked this cute little bookmark to use because it has little hearts on this little tree and it's like pink, and it just felt kind of suited to Valentine's to me. But the most exciting thing about picking up an Elsie Silver book for me, because I've never read any, is to see if I think she possibly wrote Silver Elite. So quick backstory, in case you didn't know, Silver Elite was a book that came out last year. The second part is due out soon, I think May, maybe, I think. It went kind of viral at the time, went very TikTok viral. It was a very BookTok book. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favourite read of the year by any means, but I enjoyed it enough that I'm going to carry on with the series. But the big mystery was, who is the author? We all know that it's a pen name for someone who has released books before, but that's kind of as much as we know. Sorry, I got distracted a bit there because my ring doorbell went off, but it was just a package, nothing crazy. Because I was like, I am teaching today, but not for a couple of hours, so I thought I had time to like start reading a little bit. So I was like, oh my god, did I miss someone on my schedule? But I didn't. It's okay. But as I was saying, so there is this whole mystery around who could have written Silver Elite, and I said maybe Elsie Silver. But as I haven't read any Elsie Silver before, I was literally going off what people had said about Elsie Silver's books and her writing style in like videos that I have watched of other YouTubers. And I was also going off the fact that Silver Elite sounds a little bit like Elsie Silver backwards. I mean, I know that might be a bit of a stretch. I don't know. But to me, it just seemed the most likely out of anyone I could think of. Like, I couldn't really notice any similarities between anyone I'd read already. So I kind of felt like it was an author I hadn't. And for the marketing and all that was behind this book, I feel like it had to be an author that was already reasonably successful. So that's a little backstory on that. But yes, for this Valentine's reading vlog, let's get into Wild Love. I was a bit anxious because it's so thick, and I was like, am I going to have time to read this on time? Because we're a few days out from Valentine's, and I am working a lot over the next few days. But thankfully, it's got quite a big print. So that makes me feel a lot better about being able to get through this. So yeah, I'm going to dive into this. I've got probably about an hour I can read, and then I need to kind of set up for my long afternoon evening of teaching. So I haven't got that long to read today, but I thought it was the perfect opportunity to start this. And I wore pink for the occasion so that I feel romantic and Valentine's-y and everything else. Also, I don't know how much I have introduced you to my little book nook, but I got this chair for Christmas. If you didn't see my little Christmas haul, it is so comfy. It has a little footstool, and it was really, really affordable as well. I want to say it's only just over $100, and it's so comfortable, honestly. And then I have my little Jellycat dragon because I love dragons. And then I have my little Charlie Bear's gargoyle because I did want the Build-A-Bear one, but that sold out so quickly. So I've got this little Charlie Bear's gargoyle, which I also love to bits. And they just make me feel a little bit, my fantasy realm as I sit here. So yeah. But anyway, without further ado, let me start this, and I'll give you my first thoughts maybe a few chapters in. Okay, before I properly start, I have to say it has a little map, which, I've only really seen in fantasy books, so that's kind of exciting, just because I know this is a romance. So I don't know, it's just kind of cool to see it in a different genre. Okay, so I'm stopping after just reading the first two chapters. I'm like 20 something pages into the book. But from reading two chapters, I can already see it's a dual narrative. And honestly, it isn't what I was expecting a romance novel to start like. Not that there's like a certain way they should start, but it's just, I am very confused at how these characters, I assume, are going to intercept at some point. It's a very weird, bizarre way of starting the book, with especially with the first chapter from our character Ford's perspective. If you've read it, you're probably gonna know what I'm saying here. And then we also follow Rosie, and in her chapter, because I don't think it really gives too much away, she's had a bit of an incident at work which she needs to go to HR about. And honestly, her boyfriend, when she's telling him about this, I just want to slap him. Okay, like he is awful. So yeah, so far I'm not feeling really any connection to the characters, especially like the ones that aren't the perspective, particularly Rosie's boyfriend. But we will see as I continue to read. I'm going to read a little bit more now, but I have just thought I am a bit hungry, and I literally, once I start teaching this afternoon, I do not stop until this evening, and I won't even be able to cook and eat dinner until near 8 p.m. by the time I finish work. So I do need to go and get a snack. So I don't think I can read as long as I thought I could. But I still think it was a great day to start. So I'm going to read a little bit more. I'll check back in with you once I've got as far as I've got. And then, yeah, I'll be reading it throughout this week. Okay, I read a couple more chapters. So I'm about 50 pages through now. But I do really need to get on with my day. I wish I had more time to read. I was actually reading earlier, though. This is me starting a new book today, so I can't complain. But our protagonists, our POVs have met now. It's definitely a very different premise to a romance story that I've really read before. Like, there's definitely a lot of sort of complexity in this and kind of random choices, in my opinion. But I kind of like it as a beginning. I mean, I'm so close to the beginning. I can't really say how much I'm gonna love it, but yeah, so far so good. As the whole Silver Elite thing goes, I don't know. There's nothing in this writing which tells me really yet. I definitely think it's possible. I don't think this is so different, like a style of writing or anything, but hopefully by the time I get to the end of this, I'll have a stronger opinion on that. But yeah, um, I will check back in with you at some point. I don't know if I'll check back in with you before I start reading again or after I've read some more. We'll see. But yeah, I do sadly have to go and get on with my day of work. But then over this week, hopefully, I get some good time to read. I think Thursday I'll have the most spare time because I have a few clients around lunchtime and then I have quite a gap till the evening. So I have a few hour gap. So I feel like I'll be able to get a good chunk of reading in then. Tomorrow is a crazy busy day, and the couple of hours spare I do have, I really need to go to the store. So yeah, I will read tomorrow, but how much I don't know. And maybe I'll just end up updating you on Thursday. I'm not sure yet, but we will see. But anyway, see you again very, very shortly. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Yes, I'm starting out with you looking at a box because it looks so yummy. Let me show you. Just look at that. I'm hoping it's as good as it looks, but yeah, a nice little treat. But hey, hello everyone. I'm just checking in quickly because it has been a few days since I started reading Wild Love, and I've almost finished. I'm definitely going to finish it today. I was just teaching a little this morning, and then my husband and I grabbed lunch and the crumble cookie. But the reason that I haven't been able to check in, I mean, I say haven't been able, I could have done. But the reason I haven't checked in is because I couldn't find the receiver for my microphone. So I couldn't use a microphone to record. And I just know that it sounds so much worse when I don't, especially, if there's like loud things going on outside and, we have airplanes a lot go over here and things. So yeah, it's like my hair's getting more and more static. It's funny. So yeah, I lost the receiver to my microphone, and so I couldn't record with a microphone. So I had to buy a new one, and it arrived. So now I can talk to you again. So I've got to say, overall, I am quite enjoying Wild Love. I wasn't sure what I'd make out of it. I've heard very mixed things about Elsie Silver, and like people I follow seem very mixed on whether they like her books. But overall, I'm definitely enjoying it. I don't think it's like the most outstanding romance I've ever read. And why did I think it was a cowboy romance? Like, does Elsie Silver's write a cowboy romances in like another series or something? Because I don't know. I heard her name Elsie Silver, and I thought she wrote cowboy romances. And I know you're probably like, oh, well, you had the book, but it was one that was like gifted to me, so I didn't really look into it. It's just what I got. Oh, here's Tato. But yeah, so I honestly thought that it was a cowboy romance, and obviously it's not really. It's a rich billionaire romance. But yeah, overall enjoying the story. The character of Cora is my favorite. She kind of overshadows, I think, for me, a little bit the protagonists, which maybe is why this isn't as outstanding, because I think I'd rather have more of her story and her life than the protagonists, which I'm not saying it's boring me at all, but I just really like her as a character. And I do like our protagonists, but they do kind of remind me of 50 Shades of Grey. Like, if Elsie Silver has not been influenced by 50 Shades of Grey to write this book, I'll be really, really shocked, just because there's like bits where the characters communicate through like email, and it has the same kind of playful tone that it has when this happens in 50 Shades of Grey. Very similar sort of flirtation and things like that. And then the fact that, you know, the guy's a rich billionaire and all of this, like, there's definitely some similarities, but obviously it's not quite as spicy. There is spice in this book though, but it's not quite as spicy. You know, I'm not quite at the end yet, so we will see by the time I finish if my opinion changes, but I don't think so. I do think that these characters have some huge similarities to Mr. Grey and what's her name? Anna? I think that's the girl's name in 50 Shades of Grey. Wow, it's been years since I read that book. But yeah, like I said, enjoying it. And I think honestly the best thing for me about reading like a nice sort of easy romance right now is I think I needed it, because the last book I read was The Poet Empress that I read before this, and honestly, I will talk more about it in my monthly wrap up, but I loved that book, but it left me a little bit emotionally wrecked, and I think just having a nice romance is what I needed right now. So I'm glad I've picked up this book for Valentine's week, because it is very, very, very much needed. But yeah, I'm going to go away and go and finish the book, and then I'll check in with you very, very soon. Okay, I finished. So yeah, Wild Love, my TBR book choice of pink book, and also just very fitting for a romance for Valentine's. I always try to read a romance book over Valentine's week because it just puts me into the mood, you know, kind of, I guess. It just feels fitting. I am a bit of a mood reader, and sometimes it just feels like it's a good thing to do. I've got to say, as Valentine's go, me and my husband don't really do a lot. We kind of find that, you know, they put prices up, they put on special menus, etc., just to take your money when you could go out and enjoy a date night any other night. So, you know, that's why we have a nice crumble cookie, which is great. Not that I've eaten it yet, so I can't tell you if it was actually great or not. We are going to be eating it this evening as sort of like dessert. But yes, Wild Love by Elsie Silver. So, as I said, my first Elsie Silver book, and yeah, definitely not a cowboy romance. I gathered very quickly there was something called Chestnut Springs mentioned in here, and that suddenly rang a bell, and I was like, oh, I think she writes like a Chestnut Springs like series. So I was a bit worried. I was like, oh god, should I have read that before I picked this up? But I'm guessing they're all just like slightly interconnected books, because this felt very much like a standalone, even though it's like book one. And from what I can gather, I think the next one will follow one of the characters in here called West, and it will be like his story. So they're like interconnected, but they aren't like so connected that nothing makes sense if you're not reading like all of the books that are sort of connected. Although anyone who's read this series, you can tell me if it's still important to do like book one of Wild Love series like first. But yeah, without giving too much away, we basically follow this like hot billionaire guy, and he owns a record company and a bar, I think, and you know, some other businesses. He's very rich. All of a sudden, this 12-year-old turns up. Turns out he actually has a daughter, so it kind of throws his life into a bit of a disarray. And then Rosie, who is his best friend's sister, returns to the town, and you know, things happen from there. He offers her a job so she can stay in town, and yeah, it just builds. And you find out that they sort of had a crush on each other when they were younger. So I suppose that's where it differs the most from 50 Shades of Grey. I would say definitely like our main character here, Ford, is much more responsible, really, than, you know, Mr. Grey is in 50 Shades, but also that, you know, the protagonists are childhood friends. It's not some like weird contract or agreement or anything. It's very different in that sense. It's more just like the way the flirtation was that reminded me of it. he definitely has a little bit of a more domineering side in certain respects, which I'm not going to say anymore because, I don't want to give everything away of the book, but he just has a slight bit of that personality going on and a bit of that grumpiness. So, yeah, it has a bit of those vibes. It's definitely not a copy, but I just would be so surprised if it wasn't actually influenced by it. But I thought it had quite a nice ending to the book, a little bit cliche, I will say, but it's a romance, and like I said, it held my attention. I just don't think, as romances go, it's maybe like the most standout for me. I don't think I'll be thinking about it all the time. I don't think it was maybe as like cutesy rom-com cliche as maybe sometimes I would like. But I do like that it did have some depth in it with the family dynamics. But I just think that the daughter character, Cora, was my favorite character. So I want to read about her rather than the protagonist, which I don't feel should happen when you're reading a book, really, that you want to really know more about the side character than the main characters. I mean, I feel a bit that way with sort of Quicksilver Brimstone because Carrion is such a great character. Like, I would love to have his story, but I still feel like the overall story captures me, which it did with this too. But I just don't feel like as a result I could I don't know, give it like 5 stars. So I have given this a 4 stars. Bit of a spoiler for my wrap up coming up, but this is a reading vlog of the book, and you only have to look on my Goodreads to see what I rated it. But yeah, I genuinely did enjoy it, and I would say if you like your romances, a little spice, especially if you like the whole kind of like rich guy thing and small town kind of vibes as well. I think this is a good one as any. Oh, and the big question: do I think that Elsie Silver wrote Silver Elite? Obviously, I have only read the one book from Elsie Silver, and I've only read the one book from Dani Francis because we haven't got the second part of Silver Elite out yet. That is out quite soon. I think it's like May. But I have got to say, I do think it's a possibility. There are some moments in this book where I feel the romance, actually, romance is the wrong word, the sudden desire and smuttiness comes out of not nowhere, but it sort of just feels slightly out of place and sudden. And I felt the same with Silver Elite. I also think our protagonists both have that quite strong, manly thing going on. Like they've got a slight bit of that sort of controlling side to them. But ultimately, they are very different stories, so I can't like fully compare. And obviously, a lot of male protagonists sort of have those traits, not just in those two books. But yeah, out of names that I've seen thrown around, like who people have said, oh, could they be Dani Francis? For me so far, this does seem like the most likely, just based on, I think the writing style for both books is very easy to get into. It's quite simple but engaging, and the characters have these random moments, as I said, that seem to come a little bit not out of nowhere, but they're just a little sudden. So from that alone, I will say this is the most likely, but there's not enough evidence for me to say, yeah, I definitely think it's Elsie Silver. And I also mentioned obviously Silver Elite. Elsie Silver kind of sounded similar, but I mean that could just be pure coincidence because Silver Elite is obviously the name of the book. It's not like the other author name or anything. And the next one that's coming out is called Broken Dove. So I mean, if that gives any clues to something in Elsie Silver books that I don't know about, let me know. But yeah, I can't say for certain, but I have a suspicion it's possible. Let me know if you have any romance recommendations. I know the Wuthering Heights movie has just come out. I do kind of want to see it, and I am a huge fan of Wuthering Heights, but I also don't really think of it as an exactly a romance. It's kind of darker and has a lot more to it than that to me. Like I don't really think of Wuthering Heights as a romance. But yeah, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this little reading vlog for Romance Valentine's time. Even though it'll be posted obviously slightly after for you. And I will be back again with some more videos very soon. Bye!